Hello there, me again. Yes, I have been busy this morning. I went out into the garage, as is evidenced by the fact I'm wearing my woolly hat. Anyway, it's a bit cold out there, but it wasn't too bad. Anyway, I went to just go start the bikes up, and you'll be pleased to know that both bikes fired up on the button the first time. So they're all right. I'll give them around a couple of times a week just to keep them ready to roll, so to speak. Looks like the cats just can't bother me now. Now I'm filming. Yes. Hello, Bugsy. Yep. See, I told you Bugsy gets involved whenever I'm filming. He's a bugger for that. Anyway, I promised you all a video about this. My first C70 Honda Cub. Now, I was just coming up to 17 years old, and I realised, of course, I'd be allowed to ride something bigger. And anyway, I had to go see a friend up in Yarmouth, drop something off, and as I was coming back out from where he lived, there was this fella in his shed by some flats in Yarmouth, and I happened to spy a Honda C70, which was exactly what I was looking for. Anyway, this old boy, he was messing around in his shed, and I said, I see you got C70 there. He said, yeah. He said, I don't ride it no more. He said, it's got a flat tyre. I said, I said, would it be for sale? He said, oh, yes. He said, yeah. I said, how much do you want for it? He said, well, I don't know, £25 will do, I suppose. So this was, back in the end of the 70s, early 80s. And I said, oh, £25, that's all right, I can just about manage that. It was a week's wages for me then. So I had to work with my grandmother. My grandmother lent me the money to do it. And bought it. I took it because obviously I couldn't ride it. I had to push it, and of course I had a flat tyre, so it took a while to push it back the same thing. A couple of miles. Anyway, I got all my quotation ready from insurance and everything, and it wasn't too onerous because it was still a fairly small bike, but it was everything I'd ever wanted. It was obviously that was a gear change, automatic clutch, but I didn't worry about that at the time. But being centrifugal clutch with 3 gears, I thought, well, I learned how to ride geared bikes that way. I took things in sort of increments and whatnot, did it, carefully. Anyway, it needed a few jobs on it, and I worked at the bus depot at the time as an engine mechanic, so I had access to tools and welding and all that sort of thing. So, in one lunch hour, once I was legal rider, the first thing I'd done, of course, was to put a new back tyre and tube on, which is what it needed. Tweak the other bits and pieces, but I had a bit of corrosion around the back end, and of course they were well known for that. So I run it into work, and one lunchtime, mate and I cut all the rot out of it and welded in some steel plates and give them a quick paint and that. And that sorted that out. It didn't take as long. We did it when we went to lunch hour. We didn't hang about in them days. Anyway, this bike, I went everywhere on the blooming thing. No matter wind, rain, shine, snow, you name it. Well, maybe not so much snow, given my previous experience with the moped the year before. But most of the time I was going up to college on it. I was actually enjoying it so much because it was the 70cc model. I'd get up to speed. I don't know, about 50 mile an hour indicated I'd do. So I was happy with that. You've got to remember, there's less traffic in them days and all. So I used to go up the Akelknow Road on and up to Norwich. instead of taking it on the train. Well, I did do occasionally, but more often than not, if the weather was all right, I'd elect to ride the bike all the way there and all the way back. Sometimes I'd go up on the train if the weather weren't so good in the morning. But if the weather'd cleared up in the afternoon, I'd come back by road. And in them days, I used to come out. Well, actually, that's how I come up with the old Anglian TT route I did, because I used to come out Trows and then go via Thurton and Hales, and then from Hales, sometimes I'd go Bungay way, but other times I'd turn off at Hales and come through and take the shortcut through Fritton. But anyway, up through St Olives and whatnot. And it was always enjoyable, even when it was raining. And when it was raining, I remember one time coming back, I was going down the road, I'd just come through Hales, and it was chucking it down, stair rods, and I thought, well, I made the wrong choice today, didn't I? I should have come back. Anyway, I should have come by the train, but I didn't. I was always stupid. But there's this lorry driver, and he's driving along slowly. And he seen me, he said, "You ought to tuck in behind me, boy." He said, "I'll shield him from the rain." So there he was, driving down the lane, and me fairly close in behind. And sure enough, the lorry sheltered me from the rain, because you wouldn't be allowed to do that nowadays. I don't think it was legal then, actually, but, well, people are fairly friendly back in them days. And I used to find the lorry drivers would help you out, So, but that was a different time then, I think, when people, certainly round here in Norfolk, people did help each other out and whatnot where we could. I suspect that still happens quite a bit nowadays, actually, but I'm a little bit more isolated, easy to keep myself to myself and whatnot. Anyway, yes, that was a very nice machine. I ran that for a good while. That was always, even when I got bigger bikes, I still had it as a backup, as a second machine, and quite often I'd still elect to hop on the old Cub for short trips and whatnot, and sometimes longer trips if I felt like it, if the weather was nice. So even when I had bigger bikes, 125s and 250s and such like, it was quite often I'd hop on a Cub. And, well, it's not surprising, really. I mean, they're easy to look after. They fully enclosed chain guard always used to do a good job, and your chains would last a good while. And, of course, you could get parts for them, and I mean, in them days, people would give them away. Sometimes somebody did have one kicking around and say, "Do you want that, boy? Spare parts?" And you'd say, "Yes, please." So you'd get those. They were easy to get bits for. There were plenty of places locally I could get tyres and other bits and pieces. So they were an ideal thing. And over the years, I mean, that was the first one, and that was blue. And I'd painted a gold racing stripe on the left-hand leg shield. And that was just so I could tell mine from others in the car park, because there were quite a lot of them around in them days, and quite a lot of them were the same as my ones. So I put the little racing stripe on there as a distinguishing mark, so I knew. Because I was a bugger for remembering number plates. I mean, it used to make me laugh. Copper pulled me over and say, "What's your registration?" "Oh, I don't bloody know." He said, the copper would say to me, "You're supposed to remember how are we supposed to check on things if you can't remember the number plates?" I said, "Well, I don't know." I said, I don't know my number plate. I said, "I've got my insurance paper in my pocket, though." And that was usually all right then. But I think they used to ask you that just so they'd try to figure out you hadn't nicked it. That was still a problem even back in them days, unfortunately. There's always some scallywag who can't keep their hands to themselves and take other people's things, but there you go. Well, some things never change, do they? Anyway, of course, it held about a gallon of fuel, I think, but I mean, of course, you get more than 100 mile out of a gallon, so that was okay. That was my only criticism of the Cub, is that if you want to go more than 100 mile, you had to keep filling up. But I mean, they were never intended to be a touring bike, but Actually, that's where I learned you can go turn on anything, really, if you got a mind to. I mean, one thing I didn't like was top boxes. I've never liked the bloody things. And I think I had a top box on it originally, and I had a top box on the first moped, actually. But I always found the wind to catch a blooming thing and make it unstable. So, and if there's any weight in it, of course, it made it worse. So I was never a great fan of top boxes, and I still refuse to use the buggers, because I think they destabilise the machine. Now, some people disagree with me on that. But surely if you put a slab-sided box on the back or something, that's going to make it about as aerodynamic as a breeze block. So I can't see the sense in it. What I did do, I kept a rack on it so I could bungee things to the back, usually things like waterproofs and that sort of thing. And I wouldn't mind using saddlebags. In them days, I used to get rucksacks, small rucksacks from the Army and Navy, and lash them together with webbing belts, and then just put them over the back, the pillion seat, so they hung down the sides. They could hold plenty in them. They only cost about £1.50 a pair from the Army and Navy. Usually, and if you did wear them out, or you could get new ones cheaply. I'm half inclined to do that on my bloody Royal Enfields now, but of course we ain't got the Army and Navies anymore, and they don't make them out of bloody canvas anymore. I'm afraid I'm going to have to bite the bullet, if you'll excuse the pun, and buy myself some Royal Enfield ones from Hitchcock's, I think. So it's going to be on the Classic. I'm going to end up putting the Royal Enfield luggage, the pannier frames on, and then get some canvas frames. They're the only thing that really, they suit the Classic anyway. And failing those canvas bags, I might put some leather ones on. Who knows? The frames are the important bit though, because you can fit anything on them. But as I say, back in them days, I used to make my own lash up with the canvas bags we'd get from the Army and Navy. Quite simple. They weren't as big as the Royal Enfield canvas bags, but they didn't need to be, because I only had to carry my waterproofs and a few little tools, and maybe my lunch. So, and they were out the way there. I have them attached by canvas straps on the rack, on the rack sides, and they didn't go nowhere. They did the job. And I wasn't in the business carrying a pillion in them days, because I was still on L plates. But I think my story is very similar to a lot of people my age. We had the Cubs because they were cheap and cheerful. They'd go for bloody miles on a gallon of petrol, and were cheap to insure and cheap to tax. But you'd get a substantially better performance out of it than, say, a 50cc. So, I mean, they did a Crunchbox and 50cc, but later on, of course, I used to buy the C90s, which, although similar, there's not a lot of parts that transfer between the two, believe it or not, because the 70 shared most of its parts with the 50cc version, and the 90 was really, and although it's the same shape and appearance as the 70, it was, substantially a different bike. It wasn't until you had the two sitting side by side that you'd see there was huge differences in how, in components and things, which made a lot of components incompatible. But then, having said that, later on in the 90s, became available second-hand. That I want to go for. But then, having said that, I've heard tell that the C70 is considered to be the best of the three, performance-wise, and miles per gallon, that sort of thing. A lot of people rate the 70 as better than obviously the 50 is better than, but people rate the 70 better than 90 sometimes. So, but I do think that was very much tied up with the time. having said that, I do think the one thing I did like later on was when 90s started coming through with the electronic ignition, because that was just one less thing to worry about. The carburetors weren't no trouble on there anyway. They were generally all right. You generally didn't find much went wrong with them, really. Bits wear out. I mean, you'd wear out chains and sprockets. And you could wear out brake shoes and whatnot. But this, a lot of the bits were almost indestructible. And you could thrash the thing and that'd keep going. As long as you changed the oil regular, you never had any trouble, really. And that's one of the beauties of them. And, of course, they were easy to fix. I think the fact that they were so popular in the Far East as well, and pretty much worldwide, and the number of them they've made, says a lot about the design, really. And quite truthfully, if I was to have another bike in the garage along with the Enfields, I'd probably choose to put a Honda Cub in there. The only thing that perturbs me now is how much the modern Cubs cost. I mean, nearly £4,000. I mean, that's the price of the Royal Enfield 350 in it. So I think they've lost their way a little bit with the price, because they're a bit too pricey. But then that's the same with the monkey bike and the Dax and that as well, as various people have found out. On nearly just under £4,000. Well, I think that's a little bit too much. And I think Honda could, quite honestly, bring them out cheaper than that. But there you go, we shall see. I am on the lookout for a cheap 2022 Honda Cub, one of the new 125 ones. I'd like to see if I can find one of them for, second hand, and maybe add to the fleet. Because I do think that'd be good for me to be able to go down the post office on. Because that's, that sort of thing. I just hop on the post office. And I could also do a run down to Greg's every so often to get my dear wife her sausage rolls. So if any of you out there knows of or has one of the newer Honda Cubs, or even one of the older ones for that matter, but at a reasonable price, I would be interested. I know asking on there on my channel is a good idea, because obviously when I was looking for a classic 350, that did the trick. And obviously Volcanic got in touch with me. Oh, that reminds me, I see Volcanic's latest video this morning, and he told the story of what happened the other day when he was out on his Royal Enfield 350 Bullet. Bit unfortunate. Anyway, go check that video out, because it's both unfortunate but amusing, the story. So go check Volcanic Brown's Motorcycle World out, or World of Motorcycles. Yeah. I can never remember which favourite. No, it's Volcanic Brown's World of Motorcycles, I think. Anyway, yeah, so who else have I seen? Just like, well, I've been watching Lane's Explorer again, and I've been watching 5D Traveller and his travels from Scotland to Cornwall. I see Bullet Wanderer the other day. I see Tame, of course, all your motorcyclist. I've been watching that bloke on a motorbike, Dave. Hello, Dave. I've been obviously watching... there's been some nice videos come out from Bruce, Coast Rider Scotland. He's been doing some work on his Jeep and did an update from his garage and whatnot. And there's been one or two bonus trains involved, so thank you, Bruce. And what else? I was in Ainsworth Rider this morning. He put a video out, and I ain't had anything in Bingley. I shall keep an eye out for him. Didn't see anything Stuart Fillingham this Saturday either. It's Saturday now. Now who else? I think that's it for the time being. Anyway, go check all those guys out. They've all got something up today, I think. Right, now. Yes. Now, there was another there was another story about the C70s, or the C90s, I should say. C90s, which happened in London when I was younger. But I shall tell you that story another time. Now, what else has gone on? Well, there's a couple of other things afoot in the garage. First of all, I decided I'm going to take the decibel killers out of the Hitchcock exhaust, because we can't see that the blooming decibel killer baffle thing is actually doing any good at all. The Hitchcock's pipes have baffles in anyway, but they give you this metal baffle thing to screw in to reduce the sound level. Now, I know a lot of people like it a bit more muted and whatnot, but I've got a very particular problem where I live. Going out through Bradwell and into Yarmouth on my way out to ride one of my routes, there are people wandering around here all over the place with blooming iPods in their ear holes, and they're not paying attention, and they can't hear what there's, traffic around them and whatnot. But I have noticed when I run one of those pipes without the decibel killer in it, they just about hear it through their blooming earplugs, which has probably stopped several of them walking out in front of me. So, well, you know what they say, loud pipes save lives. Well, I think that's even more true today, because if you've got muted pipes, the buggers don't hear you coming, and that's a nuisance. So, short of going up to them and pulling the damn lug plugs out their ear, well, people are stupid, honestly. When you're out, I don't know, I don't get it. I thought it was bad enough back in the old days when people first got the Sony Walkmans and they were doing it. But of course now everybody has got to be connected all the bloody time to everything, or listening to music or whatever, and they can't stand being disconnected for 5 minutes. I mean, I get it when I come home. My phone will ring when I get home, when I've been out on the bike. And my phone, and I say, well, why didn't you answer your phone? I said, because I was out on my bike. I said, well, why didn't you stop? I said, I don't want to answer my blooming phone when I'm riding my bike. I said, I'm out riding my motorcycle. I'm out to ride my motorcycle. I don't need to be connected to anybody. That's not what I do. If I choose not to be connected, it's because I've chosen not to be connected. But people seem to think they've got a right to be connected to you all the time. Well, no, that's not how it works. If I want to get on my motorcycle and have a ride, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And if you try to... I've got my phone on me for emergencies, obviously, especially a medical emergency. I've got all that there, 3 words app on there in case anything happens and I have to have any attention. I can tell people where I am on that. But, at the end of the day, my relaxation is going out on my motorcycle. Or that'll be having a day out with the wife, which I do quite a lot. But when I just want to do a bit of solo time, and unwind, I get on my bike and I go for a ride. But I don't need to be at the beck and call of everybody. I had enough of that rubbish when I was working, and I don't have to do it anymore. So, people say, oh, why didn't you answer your phone? Because I didn't want to. And people get all offended. But there you go. I reserve the right to some alone time, as I guess most of you do. Anyway, where was I? I've digressed. Anyway, that was the how I came to get my first Honda Cub. There will be other stories. Also, I have other bikes and other stories to tell, like the XS750 triple I had once. A Triumph, Hinkley Triumph I owned, and a Harley Davidson I had, and various BMWs and things I did. Anyway, yes. So so there'll be other stories in the future of different bikes. So anyway, we're now coming up to the 25-minute mark. I think that's quite long enough for this one. So anyway, like I always say to you all, keep both hands on the handlebars, unless you're doing hand signals. Keep both wheels in touch with the tarmac at all times, unless you're off-road. And be kind to each other. I can't help thinking I've forgotten something. What is it I've forgotten? I did about the C70. I said about the videos I watched of. Wasn't doing a recipe day. You got that the other day. And I said about the baffles. Yes, I'm taking them buggers out so that people hear me coming better. Anyway, I like the sound anyway. That make me laugh. People nowadays sticking earplugs in, saying, "Oh, you'll go deaf." What? The problem is your helmet. It's not the bike that's the problem. It's not riding the bike that's the problem for your ears. It's because your helmet doesn't fit properly. My helmet fits properly. I don't get any trouble with wind noise. I don't have any trouble with my exhaust sounding too loud. People looking wrong and sticking things in your ears isn't good for you. You get ear infections and all sorts of things. I'll never understand this phenomenon of earplugs. Probably going to have loads of people give me hate mail in the blooming comments now. Well, guess what? I don't blooming care. Anyway, at the end of the day, as I say, be kind. And have a nice week. And I'll catch you all on the next video. Bye-bye.